pirates, summon the heroic spirit Drake at the beginning. Author, like the wind. Chapter 71. I'm so high. Looking at Robin's eyes with slightly dark circles, Ziyan couldn't help being taken aback. Robin, what? Didn't you sleep well last night? Don't worry, it's safe for us to wear, and we don't intend to do anything to you. No, you misunderstood. Although I was a little worried in the new environment, it was more because the book you gave me yesterday was so interesting that I stayed up late. Robin shook his head and said, I didn't go to bed until I read the book, 1001 Nights. However, you said that the story of 1001 Nights is not over yet, so I am looking forward to the next story. Robin did not deny his concerns about the Drake pirates, and admitted it frankly. Seeing Robin's calmness, Ziyan smiled and said, I hope your worries will dissipate soon. Ziyan turned around and waved to Robin. Let's go. Now I'm going to set up a spiritual transfer position on the ship. You can go and have a look with us. Linked Eye moved. Robin, who followed Ziyan's footsteps, looked puzzled. What is that? Linked Eye transfer is a great technology that allows people to transfer between two places, regardless of the distance. Dai raised his head proudly behind Ziyan and said, as a newcomer who just came to the ship, you have to treat the boss wants to let you know about the position with pride. And your suspicious attitude towards us also needs to be changed. Since the boss has nodded, we will still be willing to treat you as a companion. Dai folded his hands and stretched out his right index finger and said, I hope you don't talk about this position. Tell others about it, or I, Dio. Okay, Dai, let's stop here. Before Dai finished speaking, Ziyan interrupted him and turned his head. Robin, about the position is roughly what Dai said. Later, I will tell you the details about the transfer position of the spirit sun. In addition, if you want, I will also implant the certificate of using the position in your body, and tell you how to use the position. Now I'm going to build the RST position, so you can't use it yet. When I build 2 or more positions, you can transfer and teleport between 2 places through the positions. Hearing Dai and Ziyan's description of this linked size shifting position, Robin was shocked, but at the same time became very interested in this position. After all, if this position really has the effect that Ziyan said, it will be a technology that surpasses the world. Thank you, Mr. Ziyan, for letting me know about this matter, and for letting me, a newcomer who just boarded the ship, participate. After nodding his thanks to Ziyan, Robin turned to look at Dior. Also, thank you, Mr. Dior, for your explanation. It was an honor to be part of the RST establishment of this spiritual transfer site. She is still a grateful woman. Dai looked up and smiled. After finishing speaking, Dai raised the index finger of his right hand and began to drill his temple frantically. The force was so exaggerated that Dai's own temple was scratched by him, and blood kept leaking from the wound. This great technology, this technology that spans the world and spans space. Thinking about being able to witness his RST resume, I am so excited. Well, Mr. Dior, is there no problem with this? Robin asked Ziyan with a little horror as he saw Dior whose fingers were deeply inserted into his temple, and blood kept owing from his temple. Don't worry, Ziyan waved to Robin. Dior has this personality, it's no big deal. I'm talking about the wound on his temple. Is he really okay? Looking at Ziyan's indifferent attitude, Robin couldn't help but feel a little headache. That's the brain, that Dior is violently drilling his own brain with his fingers! Oh, you said that. Ziyan continued to wave his hands. It's okay, even if his head is split in half, it's knee. So, just opening a hole in the head to ventilate the brain inside is no problem at all. Hearing Ziyan's description of Dio, Robin looked at Dio in surprise. Is this some kind of devil fruit? It's not a natural devil fruit, but it can also make your body recover quickly. Looking at the blood left by Dio on the deck, Robin guessed in his heart. However, Dio, seeing you like this, I don't know why I also got high. Seeing Dio's excited expression, the corners of Ziyan's mouth also curled up crazily. Oh, Dio looked at Ziyan excitedly. Boss, do you want to experience this feeling too? If you want to, boss, I'm willing to lend you my stone ghost mask. Then you can do the same to me. Yes, forget it. Ziyan shook his head. Who knows if I'll be able to bask in the sun after using that mask of yours. I didn't expect to have a shortcoming of being afraid of the sun. Writing novels after work is exhausting. Ask for rowers, please collect, thank you! Chapter 72 The Shining Pentagram, for collection. Although my body is no longer that of an ordinary person, who knows if the stone ghost mask will be strong enough to turn me into a vampire who is afraid of the sun. Ziyan paused, thinking of the blood he had obtained from Spartacus' treasure. And, even without your mask, I think I can play like you. You really are a pervert. Seeing Ziyan talking about drilling his brain with his fingers with great interest, Longwan looked at him with disgust. Someone would think about how to poke their own head with fingers. I've learned a lot. Ordinary people can't be like me, so they naturally can't do such a thing. If you think like this, It's just that the perspective of ordinary people limits your vision. Seeing the expression on the tornado, Dio directly drilled his head and put his head in front of the tornado. The blood continued to spray towards the tornado. For the sake of working for a boss, I can also lend you the stone ghost face, Dio said with a wild smile. Come on, human abilities have limits. The more scheming you are, the more you will be killed by yourself. Only by surpassing human beings can we achieve higher achievements. So, stop being human, trembling tornado. After finishing speaking, Dio's face was closer to the tornado. If the tornado hadn't unfolded their telekinetic force in time, Dio's blood was about to fall on her. You bastard, don't come close to me. Do you want to stain my clothes? The angry tornado increased the output of telekinetic power, and instantly threw Dio out. But in the next moment, Dio appeared in the same place again. It's too big. Your abilities won't work for me who surpasses human beings. Really? Looks like I've been underestimated. A green light appeared around Tornado's body, slowly awaiting up. Since you are a companion, it is also necessary for your companion to fully understand my strength. You can use your body to clearly feel my strength. Before the tornado awaiting in the air could use telekinesis on Dio, Ziyan forcibly hugged their tornado into his arms. Okay, let's stop here for the slapstick. Now it's time to set up the linked side transfer position. If you want to compete, let's talk about it later. Regardless of the tornado's struggle, Ziyan rested his chin on the tornado's head. And, I'm just talking, I'm not perverted enough to know how to drill my own mind with Attinger. That means you don't deny that you are a pervert. Tsunade put his hands on Ziyan's shoulders and said with a smile on his face. Hee, it should be a little perverted. Ha ha. Ziyan answered Tsunade with a big smile. You pervert, let me go. In Ziyan's arms, Tornado blushed and struggled. Also, where are your hands? Due to the height difference, Ziyan's hand just landed on Long Wan's chest, which greatly embarrassed Long Wan himself. Looking at the tornado holding his hand hard, Ziyan hugged the tornado even harder, and at the same time rubbed a place in his hand constantly. Ignoring the tornado whose head started to smoke, he was talking to Tsunade beside him without saying a word. Robin, who saw Ziyan and his companions getting all the time, was even more curious about the things organized by Blue Star. Robin's curiosity was deeply aroused whether it was their stone ghost face, the vampire in their conversation, or the linked site transfer site that was about to be built. Robin silently memorized these words in her heart, hoping that one day, Ziyan would be able to explain these things to her. The room that Drake planned to use for the transfer was not far away. After a while, Ziyan and his companions came to the reserved room amidst the noise of getting. Okay, let's set it up here, Yan. After arriving in the room, Drake turned to look at Ziyan. This is the shell room on the ship, but this place is not needed now. Fortunately, it is quite spacious. Here, should be enough to set up a transfer position. It should be enough. Ziyan walked into the shell room and took out a devil fruit. Then, here I go. After greeting his companions and Robin, Ziyan communicated with the system in his heart. System, I want to consume a devil fruit to set up a collar in this cannonball room and move their position. Received. Host. Start recycling devil fruit. Start building their spirit transfer site. Accompanied by the mechanical sound of the system, the devil fruit in Ziyan's hand slowly dissipated, turning into dots of light and revolving around Ziyan. The light circled around Ziyan for a while, and then came to the center of the shell room. A magic circle in the shape of a pentagram was built. The magic circle slowly changed from illusion to reality, and slowly rotated. A strong but non-glare silver-white light lit up in the shell room as it rotated. After the magic circle rotated for dozens of seconds, the intense light began to dissipate. Only their huge pointed star magic circle shining slightly with silver blue light remained in the shell room. Please collect. Ask for Oaz. Thank you readers! Chapter 73 Deserted Island. For collection. Is this the linked size shifting position? Yuan Liguang walked to the pentagram, and immediately felt the connection between the position and himself. Laiku, you should feel this position in your heart. Seeing Minamoto Reimitsu on their pentagram with a thoughtful expression on his face, Ziyan walked up to Minamoto Reimiko and said, well, yes, I walked to this magic circle. It seems that I have a connection with it in my heart, and I faintly feel that as long as I put my magic power into it, I can use it. Yuan Liguang saw their man beside him. Ziyan gently held Ziyan's hand and said, this position was established by me, and you, my companions, can use it. Ziyan looked at Minamoto Reimiko and smiled, then turned to the other companions and said, as long as you inject magic power or other energy into this magic circle, you can activate it. However, it can only be used after another position is established. Ziyan tilted his head and continued, as for Robin, you come to me RST, and I will give you permission. After that, you can use it. According to Ziyan's words, Robin came to Ziyan. Although she has never seen anything similar to this formation, and she doesn't know what a magic circle is, she is not afraid. and her heart is already led with curiosity. I'll transfer the contract to you later. Don't resist. Ziyun put his hand on Robin's forehead and said with a smile. After watching Robin nod, Ziyun communicated with the system in his heart, and gave Robin the right to use the position through the system. Immediately, Robin was in contact with the magic circle under his feet. Now, you can use it too. Ziyun smiled and put down the hand on Robin's forehead. In order to test the effect, IRST go to a place far away from the golden deer, and then try to teleport. After all, now I am the only one who can teleport without relying on another position. After speaking, Ziyun left the cannonball room and jutted towards the distance using telekinetic power. Here, it should be enough. Ziyun, you're very fast, and in just a few minutes, he had arrived at a deserted island far away from the golden deer. What kind of broken island is this? There is nothing, but there are so many mosquitoes on their island. A very arrogant voice drifted to Ziyun's ears with the wind. Master Rodgodo, if you don't like this island, I can take you to leave this island immediately. Huh? Tanlong people? Hearing the word dragon people, Ziyun was stunned. He didn't expect to hear the words dragon people on such a deserted island. Hee, interesting. Ziyun Dun smiled with interest, quickly hid his gear and sneaked towards the direction of the sound, wanting to confirm whether it was really Tanlongren here. If it is, then there will be fun, Ziyun thought in his heart. And the name Rodgordo seems to be quite similar to the name of Rodwald I killed in the East China Sea. Ah, what a disgusting mosquito. Rodgordo, a celestial dragon man wearing a transparent glass helmet, pointed his gun at the mosquitoes angrily. If he hadn't been unable to accurately aim at the mosquitoes, he might have shot. Seeing Rodgordo's appearance, the tall guard waved his hands quickly, and after a while, all their mosquitoes beside Rodgordo were caught in his hands. Haha, David, you are good. It is not in vain that our Rhodes family focuses on cultivating you. Seeing that the mosquitoes were dealt with, Tanlong put away the gun in his hand, and laughed loudly and said to his guard, David, the Navy hasn't found out where my son is. What a bunch of waste. The Tanlong people said, Ursley, since you suspect that the Drake pirates have captured my son, let's quickly catch them. So we can ask if they have my son Rodward. That Garp and the Yellow Ape are really useless. What kind of naval hero, Admiral? I took so many people there, but I couldn't catch a pirate group with a few people. Since the Navy is unreliable, the Vold Stars are not there now. Take care of my son, then I will end it myself. Hey, Butler, you said that the pirate group has come to the Drum Kingdom. Why haven't we seen it after sailing for so many days? Tanlong turned his head and waited earnestly for his butler, and said, Report to Lord Rodgordo. I got the news that the group of Drake pirates just left Whiskey Mountain not long ago. According to the speed of our sailing, we should almost meet them. The butler answered Tanlongren in a cold sweat. At this moment, he regretted that he had told the news about the Drake pirates when Rodgordo, the celestial dragon, was patrolling their Drum Kingdom. If he hadn't told the news, the Tanlong people would not have clamored to catch the Drake pirates. Although the Tanlong people are very content in their families guard David, the steward also admits that he is a ruthless character who can wrestle with the Admiral. But the butler didn't think that David alone would be able to capture the Drake pirates. That was the pirate group that captured Garp and Kizaru. Ask for Oaz, please collect. Thank you readers. Chapter 74 Quick Kills. On the one hand, the butler didn't want to meet the Drake pirates, because the people led by their Tanlongren probably couldn't beat the Drake pirates. But on the other hand, if the Drake pirates were not encountered, the Dragon Man would probably feel that he had deceived him that day, so he would kill him directly. In the housekeeper's mind, he no longer had any hope for the survival of Rodwald the Celestial Dragon. Rodwald has been missing for so long, and before the disappearance, the world government also received news that they were attacked. The steward felt that Rodwald was probably dead. Rodgordo, the Celestial Dragon, is just the opposite. He doesn't think anyone dares to kill their Celestial Dragon, because he really believed that the Celestial Dragon is the descendant of God. Therefore, even though Rodward has been missing for such a long time, Rodgordo just thinks that Rodward is still alive and may be kidnapped by the Drake pirates. Want to use Rodward to blackmail the world government or the Navy. After all, the Drake pirates have already had an example of blackmailing the Navy. I hope I can see the Drake pirates as soon as possible, otherwise you don't have to be my butler. Rodwald stared blankly at his butler and said, Since you wish to see us so much, then let it be as you wish. Ziyun came out slowly from behind a big tree. David quickly looked in the direction of the voice, and the red glow that appeared when he used knowledge and domineering ashed in his eyes. David stared at Ziyun closely. In order to protect the Tanlong people, he has been using their domineering color of knowledge to monitor the surroundings. Although his sense of domineering was not strong enough, he was still very surprised to be touched at such a close distance without being noticed by him. When approaching Tanlongren, Ziyun had already hidden his aura through the circle of Bbook. Although it is impossible to hide the domineering arrogance that is too powerful, It is enough for David. Ziyan ignored the vigilance of David and his companions, but calmly took out the phone bug from his bosom, and dialed Drake's phone bug on the golden deer. Hey, Yan, why haven't you come back yet? Soon the phone was connected, and Drake's voice came from inside. So far, only Ziyan and his companions know Drake's phone bug number. But now his companions were all on board again, so when he saw his phone beeping, Drake immediately thought it was Ziyan calling. I'm sorry, Drake, and everyone. Ziyan said apologetically to the phone bug. I met a Tan Longren here, so I plan to deal with him and come back. Well, you met those guys. Haha, then Tan Long people are really unlucky. Haha. Hearing what Ziyan said, Drake smiled. Do you need us to help? No need, isn't it just a fat pig? Ziyan shook his head. I'll be back soon, don't worry. In this case, let's wait for you here. Drake nodded. If there is any danger, please send it back as soon as possible. Okay, I'm very strong. Sensing Drake's concern, Ziyan slightly raised the corners of his mouth. Boom. Huh? Someone shot you? Drake said, frowning. Yes. Ziyan looked at Dan Longren with a smile. There is a fat pig, seeing that I ignored his question and talked to you on my own, so I couldn't help but shot me. No long time, I'll take care of that fat pig now. See you later, Drake. Then, well, come back quickly. Seeing Ziyan who hung up the phone, Tan Long yelled at Ziyan angrily. You hateful guy, how dare you ignore my question to you? I will kill you. I will definitely kill you. Also, you are Ziyan from the Drake Pirates. Now tell me where my son Rodwood is. Your son's words. I have already sent you to hell. Ziyan looked at Rod Gordo coldly. I told my companions not to let them wait too long, so I will send you to hell to see you quickly, sons. What? You killed my son. How dare you? How dare you? Tan Longren looked at Ziyan angrily. Unforgivable, unforgivable. The world government will not let you and your companions go. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill the world. That's a lot of nonsense. Ziyan rubbed his forehead, and looked at the distorted Tan Longren who was stopped by his substitute, and David with a serious expression. This guy is really smart. Ever since he saw me, he took out the phone bug. Ziyan looked at the butler holding the phone bug with a smile on his face. I don't know if it's the Navy or their world government, but it doesn't matter who it is. Gone. Ziyan walked slowly past Dan Longren and his attendants, and the stand-in, world, faithfully carried out Ziyan's orders, piercing everyone's heart with his street, and at the same time hung up the working phone bug. Looking at the Tan Long people who had been killed, Ziyan turned his head to look at the location of a bush, smiled slightly, and walked back to the location before using time pause. I hope readers will support this book a lot, thank you! Chapter 75 Meteorite, to be put on the shelves, ask for the RST order. Then, time began to following Ziyan's words. The frozen Dan Longren and his group resumed their activities. PFFT. In an instant, everyone except David fell to the ground with blood, completely lifeless. How could it be? David knelt on the ground with difficulty, looking in horror at the large hole in his chest, from which a lot of blood was owing. David clearly saw that his heart was broken, but he had no idea when such a hole was broken in his heart. David raised his head with difficulty and looked at Ziyan. At this moment, Ziyan was still standing in the same position as before, as if he didn't even move. In the end, David fell to the ground. In the end, he didn't understand how Ziyan made their move. Sure enough, this ability is very useful. Ziyan nodded, and looked in the direction of their bushes again. Aren't you coming out yet? I've found you for a long time. Following Ziyan's voice, a man with closed eyes, wearing a Japanese style attire, and holding a slightly unsheathed samurai sword slowly walked out from behind the bushes. Although his eyes were closed, his pace was not affected. Does the gravity fruit ability use a Fugitora smile? Now, this guy is not a Navy man. Looking at the person opposite, Ziyan thought silently. When Ziyan saw the other party's face, he immediately recognized the other party's identity. What, are you planning to avenge them? Seeing the other party's slightly unsheathed knife, Ziyan folded his arms and said, No, I don't intend to avenge the evil Dan Long people. Shaking his head with a smile, he looked around at the fallen people with a domineering look. Your ability is very strange. Even my knowledgeable domineering didn't find out how you made the move. I wonder if your excellency can explain it to me. Do you think I will explain my abilities to someone who draws a sword against me? Ziyan looked at him with a funny smile. Besides, since you don't intend to avenge them, why would you release your murderous intent on me? From the moment Yixiao appeared in front of Ziyan, Earth's murderous aura rushed towards him. Therefore, Ziyan would not believe that Fugitora just came out to meet him with a smile. Although I don't intend to avenge the Tan Long people, but your excellency is an enemy of their navy and disrupts the order of the sea, then I have to get rid of you. Fugitora smiled and pulled out his stick knife, pointed at Ziyan and said, Is it driven by a sense of justice? This is quite like you. Hearing the reason for Fugitora's smile, Ziyan couldn't help but smile. Huh? Do you know me? I just heard about it, and I haven't seen you in person. Ziyan shook his head. Since you want to do it, then hurry up. I promised my companion to go back quickly. Your Excellency, don't worry. The Fujikatsuki knife swung around, because I will send you to the Navy today. As soon as Fujitora finished speaking, a burst of purple light burst out from where he returned, rushing straight into the sky. Oh, just to catch me? Ziyan shook his head and said, I have a little crush on you. But, you sure you have the strength to catch me? Although I'm a blind person, I still have a little confidence in my own strength. Fujitora answered confidently. Just rely on the meteorite you caught. During the conversation between Fujitora and Ziyan, a meteorite appeared in Ziyan's eyes, along with him. If this meteorite can't keep your excellency, I don't mind pulling down a few more meteorites. Fujitora stood up straight and looked at Ziyan vigilantly. Although he is confident enough in his own strength, Ziyan's previous record is also very good, and Fujitora is not far from the Tanlong people, but he didn't find out how Ziyan attacked the Tanlong people. Therefore, he was still very afraid of Ziyan. You really like meteorites? Ziyan looked at Fujitora amusedly. I hope you will say that again in the future. Huh? Fujitora was taken aback, wondering why Ziyan said that. Soon, he understood why Ziyan said this. In the midst of Fujitora's arrogance, a meteorite nearly 10 times larger than the meteorite he pulled down by gravity was quickly hitting the island where he was. Soon, the meteorite directly hit Fujitora's meteorite, and smashed down towards Fujitora with the shattered small meteorite fragments. Seeing this meteorite, Fujitora looked at Ziyan in a daze. You pulled it down? Facing Fujitora's question, Ziyan spread his hands and did not speak. Looking at Ziyan's appearance, Fujitora also ignored Ziyan. Purple light curtains erupted from around Fujitora's body, and rushed towards the meteorite that was falling rapidly, trying to control the direction of the meteorite falling. Boom! The collision between Fujitora's ability and the meteorite brought tremendous pressure to himself. The moment he touched it, Fujitora was crushed and blood owed from the corner of his mouth. However, the speed of the meteorite did not slow down much, and it still fell straight towards the island where Ziyan and Fujitora were. With blood in the corner of his mouth, Fujitora raised his head and looked at Ziyan, who was still calm and did nothing in the face of the falling meteorite. Are you just watching? Barnacle asked in a deep voice. Even if this is the meteorite you pulled down, it will still cause you damage if it falls. Don't worry about it. I have plenty of ways to get out. Ziyan smiled and shook his head. You should worry about yourself. It must be hard work to deal with that meteorite in their sky while guarding against me. Don't worry that I will shoot you when you are dealing with a meteorite. I personally don't have much ill feeling towards you. Otherwise, when dealing with these people lying underground, I have already shot you for a long time. Fujitora remained silent, focusing on the meteorite again. During the conversation with Ziyan just now, the meteorite drew closer to him again. It won't take long before it will collide with this island, and this island will also sink to the bottom of the sea during this collision. With such a distance, even if Fujitora turned around and left now, he still couldn't get out of the range of the meteorite. After a little thought, Fujitora quickly made a decision. Fujitora lifted it up to aim at the meteorite. Powerful purple waves condensed on the blade, and strong winds blew from Fujitora's side to the surroundings. And the ground under Fujitora's feet couldn't bear Fujitora's energy and split open. Tiger, accompanied by Fujitora's low growl, the powerful reverse gravity owl was swung out from their stick knife by Fujitora, facing the meteorite in the sky straight. Under the interference of their gravity owl, the meteorite began to slow down slowly, and when it was several hundred meters away from the island, it stopped completely. It's about to be put on the shelves. Please make the RST order. Thank you, readers. Chapter 76. Back to the Golden Deer. After a moment of pause, the meteorite began to slowly fall again under the pull of the planet's gravity. Just when Fujitora was about to use his ability to control the meteorite, a layer of green fluorescence surrounded the meteorite. Enveloped by the green light, the meteorite slowly left the top of the island and slowly fell to their side of the island. After the falling speed of the meteorite subsided completely, it became a part of this deserted island. If someone who knows something about this desert island comes at this time, they will suddenly see that the area of this desert island has doubled. Sure enough, this meteorite came down from you. Feeling the gradually disappearing energy in Ziyan's hands, Fujitora said. In Fujitora's domineering aura, the energy covering the meteorite just now and the energy emerging from Ziyan's hands exude the same fluctuations. Therefore, Fujitora conned the thoughts in his mind just now. I can't think of anyone other than me in the world who can pull down meteorites from space. Fujitora shook his head, and closed the sword in his hand. Why, aren't you going to attack me? Ziyan looked at Fujitora and said with a smile. Since your excellency has abided by the agreement, you did not deal with me in the same way I dealt with the meteorite, then naturally I can't attack you at this moment. Fujitora shook his head slightly and said, in that case, let's meet again later. Ziyan turned around, and his body gradually floated up from the ground. I hope we are not enemies at that time. After speaking, Ziyun quickly flew away from Fujitora with the sound of the sonic boom. Then, let's go back now. On the endless sea, Ziyun stood above the sea, silently awakening the system in his heart. System, activate the spirit to move the position. I'm going back to the Golden Deer. Start building a teleportation channel for the host. Teleportation begins. Accompanied by the mechanical sound of the system, a rotating pentagram magic circle appeared under Ziyun's feet. With the appearance of the magic circle, Ziyun turned into a little light and disappeared into the sea. At the same time, in the shell room of the Golden Deer, the magic circle that was emitting a faint light began to shine intensely. In the light, little stars began to condense, and gradually turned into the appearance of Ziyun. Dear Cloud. Just as Ziyun opened his eyes, he was hugged tightly by Minamoto, who rushed to him. Really, getting the enemy alone or something. It's so worrying. Honey, please don't do this in the future. Rika will be worried. While waiting for you, Lai Guang's heart hurts. Minamoto raised his head, looked at Ziyun with foggy eyes and said, feeling the pressure on his chest, and seeing Minamoto's aggrieved expression, Ziyun put his hands behind Minamoto's back, and also hugged her tightly, staring at Minamoto's with his forehead, gently said bluntly, I'm sorry, Lai Guang, this time I didn't know that I would be back soon, but I was delayed for some time. Ziyun raised his head and looked at the other companions, and everyone. I'll let you stay for a while. Ziyun smiled apologetically, and continued, I really don't like a guy like Danren, since I have met him. If I don't deal with him, I might feel uncomfortable. I see. Yuan Lei lifted his head from Ziyun's chest. Since Yun doesn't like Tanlong people, then I'll go and kill them all. Yuan Laiguang smiled coldly. He. Since my dear doesn't like it so much, then there is no need to exist. He. Seeing Minamoto's expression, Ziyun suddenly felt a sympathy for the Tanlong people in his heart. Ziyun shook his head, shaking off the weird emotions in his heart. Tanlong people don't need to be sympathized. Cough cough. Lei Guang. We can't think about killing all the celestial dragons, we just need to kill those who do evil, and if we encounter celestial dragons who are no different from ordinary people, we don't have to kill them. However, having said that, but come to think of it, there is no Tanlongren who is not disgusting, so, I still have to get rid of them all. As he said that, Ziyun himself couldn't help laughing. Okay, let's not talk about this RST. Ziyun patted Minamoto Larimitsu on the back, and let her go gently. I have tested the ability of the position, and it feels quite good. There will be other positions in the future. Everyone, please use it. Drake, let's head towards that dual island now. Now that we have decided to go there, let's rush over there as soon as possible. With that said, Ziyun turned to look at Robin. Robin, please show us the direction. Wait, Your Excellency. Robin called Ziyun to stop. Don't call me Your Excellency. It feels awkward to hear you call me that. Ziyun shook his head. Just call me Ziyun. Robin nodded, and then said, Ziyun, did you really kill the Tanlong people just now? And did you really go one step further and attack the Tanlong people? Just heard that in Drake's phone bug, that Ziyun was going to kill the Tanlongren. Robin was stunned. But now, hearing Ziyun talking about the Tanlong people in person, and then going to attack the Tanlong people, Robin suddenly felt absurd. When did the Celestial Dragon be able to be killed so casually? Because of the Celestial Dragon, Robin even temporarily put aside the doubt that Ziyun could use the Devil Fruit to build spirit particles to transfer positions. As for the Tanlong people, I have already killed them in the East China Sea. Ziyun nodded with a smile. Now that I think about it, that Tanlong people are really interesting. They even said they want to steal our boat. Haha. It's also a coincidence that the Tanlongren who was killed this time turned out to be the father of the Tanlongren in the East China Sea. Now, I have done a good deed by letting their father and son meet in hell. Ziyun walked up to Robin, patted Robin on the shoulder, and said, okay, I said, compared to you, the world government wants to catch us more. It's not just that we have hit the Navy's Majesty, it's more likely that they may know that we killed the Tanlong people in the East China Sea. The intelligence capability of the world government is quite powerful. If you can't even guess this, then the world government is no big deal. If you have any questions, let's talk about it later. And now help us determine the direction of sailing. Saying that, Ziyun walked towards Long Wan. Come on, Long Wan, let me hug you, I will love you very much. Hearing Ziyun's words, Long Wan was startled and couldn't help shaking. You don't want to come here? If you are coming here, I will be rude to you. Haha, sure enough, the dragon roll is very cute. Ziyun walked into the tornado with a smile, and lifted the tornado above his head. The clothes you are wearing are also good. Very suitable for holding high. Chapter 77 Dialogue between the Warring States period and the Five Elder Stars, for self-determination. Having said that, Ziyun blew on the hem of the tornado's skirt, and the arrowed over there hem of the tornado's skirt, causing the tornado to scream. You pervert. Tornado pressed the hem of the skirt with both hands and shouted at Ziyun with a blushing face. But even so, Tornado did not use telekinesis on Ziyan as she said. Walking out of the shell room, Ziyan let Tornado sit on his shoulders again, and walked towards the deck. Long Wan also stopped making noise. Although he was shy in his heart, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. Hee, that's pretty good too. Looking at Ziyan below him, Long Wan read in a low voice. I heard it. Dia suddenly appeared beside the Tornado and said, Tornado immediately turning to look at Dia. You bastard, what did you hear? Well, let me think about it. Dia rubbed his chin with his palm, pretending to be thinking. It seems to say that you like the boss doing this. What are you talking about? I don't have it. Tornado immediately retorted. Hee, you think I've heard it all, but the boss didn't hear it. Ha. Dia laughed exaggeratedly. You think you're whispering, but no one here can hear you. Ha. Sorry. Dior paused. Maybe it's just that Nicole Robin hasn't reached the strength to be able to hear it. Hearing Dio's words, Tornado blushed and looked at Ziyan. And Ziyan, as if he didn't hear the conversation between Dio and Tornado, continued to walk forward. Seeing Ziyan's behavior, he is not stupid in itself, and knowing Ziyan's Tornado, he immediately knows what Dia said is true. Long Wan's face immediately turned redder. Her head was too hot. She dumped her body on Ziyan's head. As Ziyan moved forward, he kept rubbing against Ziyan's head. Different from the lively atmosphere of the Drake pirates, at this moment, the atmosphere in there of the Holy Land Mary Jo, the ruler of the world government, and the 5 elder stars is gloomy. In the luxurious room, besides the 5 old stars, there is also the Admiral of the Navy who came to report to Mary Joya. Sengoku Warring states, do you know why we called you here? Holding the sword, Wu Loxing looked at Kong seriously and asked, on the way here, I already knew. Maybe it's because of the Danlongren Rogodo-san. Sengoku frowned and replied, yes. Wu Loxing with a moustache continued, the phone bug at Rod Gordo's place accurately conveyed that it was Ziyan from the Drake pirates who attacked them. Although in the end, the call was cut off, but now we can be sure that Rod Gordo has been killed. And the one who killed him was Ziyan. And, that Ziyan also admitted that Rodwild, the Danlongman who went to the east, was indeed killed by the Drake pirates as we guessed. The yellow-haired celestial dragon answered, HMPH, that Rod Gordo thinks that David can catch the Drake pirates. Many people also think that David has the strength of a general. In fact, he is stronger than the lieutenant general of their Navy headquarters. The curly-haired Vold Stars said dissatisfiedly, if he can catch the Drake pirates, Garp and Kizaru would have taken care of them last time. But no matter what, Rod Gordo is also a relatively high-level celestial dragon. Now that we know that Ziyan killed him, then we can't let them go. Longbeard Vold Stars tight, staring at Sengoku. This time, no matter what, we must get rid of the Drake pirates. Your navy must do its best for this matter, and we will also send more world government powerhouses to assist you. Understood. I will dispatch enough combat power to kill the Drake pirates. For Ziyan and his group, the Warring States has always been very afraid of them. In the hearts of Sengoku, the Drake pirates have great strength, but they are extremely dissatisfied with the world government, especially the Tanlong people, and dare to confront the Navy and the world government head-on. If this group of people is not removed as soon as possible and their Blue Star organization behind them is discovered, it will definitely bring a huge challenge to the Notai Katain of the world government, and the world will also be in chaos. Since this is the case, you can arrange people. We will let Zero locate their positions. I'll leave it to you next. The Vold Stars with long beards nodded. Now, go get busy. Yes, then I'll go back RST. After answering, Sengoku turned and left the room. Drake pirates, Ziyan, Blue Star, I will destroy you one by one. Warring States walking on the road, thinking hard in his heart. Dio, you bastard, laugh at me over and over again. The tornado that came down from Ziyan to Dio and said earnestly, there is a lot of telekinetic fluctuations around the body. Oh, are you going to duel with me? Looking at the telekinetic power around the tornado, Dio said lightly, it's better not to. It seems that the boss likes you very much. I don't want to be deducted by the boss because of getting with you. Don't you dare. Dio shook his head, picked up a book, and pointed behind Tornado. Just as Long Wan turned around in doubt, a glass of ice juice was stuck to her face. It's so cold. Tornado couldn't help but shivered. Okay, Dragon Roll, drink your juice and forget about Dio. Ziyan, who was holding the juice, turned his head to look at Dio. You too, Dio, don't mess with the tornado. Dio smiled and nodded. HMPH. I don't. This time I must teach him a lesson. Long Wan put his hands on his chest and said, please, can I? After using telekinesis to control the juice, Ziyan let go of the juice cup, holding the hand of the Dragon Roll with both hands and said sincerely, since you've asked me so much, I'll let him go around for a while this time. Seeing Ziyan's eyes, Tornado's heart beat faster, and he couldn't help agreeing. Ziyan smiled and handed the juice to Long Wan. By the way, just now I saw a big meteorite landed on an island. You must have pulled it down. After taking a sip of the juice, Long Wan asked Ziyan suspiciously, There is such a strong opponent from the Tan long run? Do you need you to pull down such a big meteorite? No, I pulled down the meteorite, not to deal with a group of Tan long people. I just choose to double to get rid of those guys. Ziyan shook his head. I did this because a guy I met by chance dropped one meteorite on me, and I couldn't help but dropped a bigger one on him. Zilidong smiled, and continued, thinking about his expression now. I really indeed quite interesting. That relatively small meteorite was also artificially pulled down unexpectedly. Besides you and me, there is actually someone who can pull down the meteorite. It's quite an interesting guy. Dragon Roll said with a little interest. Fellow reminds you, 3 things to read, collect and push. Chapter 78. Arriving at the destination, seeking subscription. I believe we can meet him again in the future. Ziyan smiled and shook his head. I don't know if he will attack me like today. You actually shot it, my dear. Minamoto Reimiko sneered in a low voice. The next time you meet him, kill him. If you want to GHT him, leave it to me. Tornado turned to look at Minamoto Reimiko, and said confidently, I'm very good at dealing with people who use meteorites to attack. Since you're so interested in tornadoes, then I will count on you then. Ziyan touched Long Wan's head and said with a smile. Ziyan is still very interested in the scene of tornado facing Kami Fujitora. Long Wan has completely given up on stressing with Ziyan not to treat himself like a child, so he didn't resist Ziyan touching himself like a child's head. Since it was Yan who made the decision, I won't take action against that guy this time. After hearing Ziyan's words, Minamoto Reimitsu temporarily decided to let Fujitora be dealt with by tornado. However, Minamoto still thought in his heart that if he met this Fujitora alone, he would still make a move. It will take some time to reach that dual island, so I will rest RST. Ziyan gave a hush, and walked towards Tsunade who was resting on the recliner. It was quite laborious to pull down such a big meteorite just now. I need to rest to change it. Tsunade, come give me a head massage. As he said that, Ziyan lay on his back directly on Tsunade's body. Tsunade smiled, freed his hands, and began to slowly press Ziyan's head. The faint chakra in both hands quickly relieved Ziyan's fatigue, and soon Ziyan fell into a deep sleep. Seeing Ziyan sleeping peacefully, Tsunade smiled and moved his body so that Ziyan could lie on his body more comfortably. His hands were also constantly massaging Ziyan. Tsunade, who is very good at medical skills, already has a good understanding of the human body, and now in order to better serve Ziyan, Tsunade has recently improved his massage skills. The result of doing this also made Tsunade very satisfied, because Ziyan often asked her for massages, and it also made Tsunade and Ziyan spend more time together. Minamoto Reimitsu looked at Tsunade and Ziyan, and couldn't help but decide that he would study how to serve Ziyan better in the future. He's such a sweet-hearted but happy man. Robin shook his head thinking. Although she stayed on the Golden Deer for a short time, she clearly felt that the women on board had a great affection for Ziyan, and each of these women was beautiful and powerful. This surprised Robin, and at the same time he couldn't help but wonder how this man named Ziyan could attract so many good women with such a great charm. Although Robin wanted to ask Ziyan many things, but seeing that Ziyan had fallen asleep in Tsunade's arms, he gave up the idea of asking questions. I plan to ask Ziyan questions after Ziyan wakes up. Yan, the destination has arrived. Tsunade supported Ziyan's hair and gently woke Ziyan in his arms. Ziyan slowly opened his eyes, looking at the sky full of stars. Well, it's already night. Yes, Yan, you slept very deeply this time. Tsunade clasped his arms around Ziyan's chest. Besides me, the only one who is commanding the Golden Deer. Drake on the outline, everyone else went back to the room to rest. Really? Haha, I'm sorry, Tsunade. I've slept on you for so long, it's really comfortable to rest like this. Ziyan smiled embarrassedly. By the way, is your body sore? After speaking, Ziyan wanted to stand up. Tsunade behind him hastily used you to hold Ziyan, preventing him from getting up. Just now you have been sleeping on my pillow, but now it's like running. Tsunade smiled. At least let me hold you to sleep for a while. Haha. Tsunade smiled and continued, you don't mind being my pillow. Saying that, Tsunade turned over and lay it on the deck chair facing Ziyan. The recliner that is not wide can hardly accommodate 2 people. At this moment Tsunade and Ziyan can only squeeze tightly together. However, the 2 people on the recliner didn't feel so uncomfortable. On the contrary, they felt that the feeling of being squeezed together like this was very good. Looking at Tsunade with eyes slightly closed in his arms and a smile on his face, Zilidong straightened Tsunade's long blonde hair and said softly, it's okay, whether it's a pillow or anything else, I'm willing. Hearing Ziyan's words, Tsunade, who closed his eyes slightly, hugged him even tighter. Feeling the strong pressure brought by the hug, Ziyan smiled even more happily. Ziyan patted Tsunade's forehead, turned to look at Drake and said, Drake, since this guy is over, let's go to the island tomorrow. Let everyone have a good rest tonight. Drake looked at Ziyan and Tsunade with a smile, walked up to Ziyan, and tapped Ziyan's cheek with red lips. Then trouble our cloud vigil. With that said, Drake turned and walked towards the room. You and Tsunade can rest here. I won't disturb you. He. After Drake left the deck and returned to the room, only Ziyun and Tsunade were left on their deck because Ziyun had slept for a long time during the day, and now he was no longer sleepy, so he just looked at Tsunade quietly. Lying in Ziyun's arms, Tsunade felt extremely at ease and soon felt drowsy, and slowly fell into sleep. What are you dreaming about? Looking at Tsunade's smiling face, Ziyun touched the corner of Tsunade's mouth and said, It's really great to have you and everyone's company. Ziyun looked up at the stars in the sky. Is there a planet in the sky that is my home? Thinking like this, Ziyun shook his head. It should be impossible, even the dimensions are different. When he came to this world, Ziyun was full of panic and anxiety, as well as their loneliness away from his family. Ziyun looked at Tsunade, smiled softly, but then I met Drake. She wiped away my loneliness. When I met you again later, I suddenly felt that it is good to have partners like you and family. I kept meeting other companions, which gave me the contents to survive in this world. Maybe one day, with your help, I can change the world. As I said before, Ziyun smiled, leaned his head on Tsunade's head, and hummed a soothing song affectionately. Suddenly, Ziyun stopped the song he was humming, and looked at the small boats approaching the Golden Deer. Chapter 79 Landing on the Island. For subscription. With a blessing of the power of mind, Ziyun heard their voices from afar. Here comes another pirate group who intends to gain fame on Duel Island. However, they can't get to the island in the end. Although casual getting with others is not allowed on the island, there is no rule that you cannot GHT outside the island. Thanks to these idiots who came to Duel Island, we made a lot of money and let the boss get a one devil fruit. Yeah, and thanks to that swordsman not eating that devil fruit, otherwise we would be in danger. The person who spoke looked at the huge scar on his chest. He is so powerful without eating the devil fruit. If we eat it, we might not be able to defeat him. Yeah, fortunately that guy is a person who doesn't intend to use the power of the devil fruit. But, boss, do you really not eat devil fruits? Fool, do you know how many berries a devil fruit has? It's guaranteed to be million berries. Scarface, who was called the boss, roared angrily. Of course this fruit will be sold. After we snatch the guys on this ship, we will leave here and sell that devil fruit. At that time, we can have a good time for a while. Come to rob us? Ziyun cracked the corner of his mouth coldly. However, I can't let you disturb the rest of everyone on the boat. But speaking of it, I have to thank you for the devil fruit you sent. Hearing the confirmation from the system in his mind, Ziyun also believed that those people had devil fruits in their hands. Seeing from a distance the scarred face holding the devil and showing off, Ziyun smiled. The next moment, the devil fruit with Scarface got out of his hand and quickly flew towards the Golden Deer. My devil fruit. Seeing the departure of the devil fruit, Scarface was stunned, and immediately shouted loudly. Seeing that the devil fruit was ying towards the direction of the Golden Deer, Scarface and his companions immediately became angry. Little ones, the guy on the boat must have snatched my devil fruit. Hurry up, everyone, it's all money. As he said that, Scarface and his companions speeded up their boating, and the distance between them and the Golden Deer was also getting closer. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a superhuman devil fruit, bubble fruit. Putting the devil fruit in his hands, Ziyun smiled, and turned his head to look at the people who were rushing towards the Golden Deer. Then, it's time to deal with you. The Scarface group that was sailing suddenly stopped. The inertia of navigation seems to be non-existent at this moment. The more you use the tornado, the more powerful you feel. Ziyun, who tried his best to Scarface and his partners, thought to himself, not only can you observe the surrounding environment like seeing chi, but it also has a good attack power. The telekinetic power developed to the level of a tornado is really powerful. While thinking like this in my heart, I slowly used my mind to pull Scarface and the group into the deep sea without making a sound. Even the voices of Scarface and others were isolated within the power of thought. In this way, Scarface and his party sank to the bottom of the sea with teary-eyed expressions. Without seeing the enemy's appearance clearly, soon, it was swallowed by the nearby sea kings. Ziyun, who withdrew his telekinesis, looked at the devil fruit in his hand and fell into deep thought. This fruit seems to be the devil fruit of Khalifa from 9. If that's the case, that Khalifa probably won't be able to become the bubble fruit's ability. Thinking like this, Ziyun put away the devil fruit. In order to be able to establish a spirit seed transfer position in the future, Ziyun does not plan to use devil fruit to summon characters for the time being. In Ziyun's heart, at least some devil fruits need to be reserved for the special construction of positions. Otherwise, you may face the embarrassing situation of not being able to take out the devil fruit when you urgently need to use it to establish a position in the future. After putting away the devil fruit, Ziyun turned his head to look at Tsunade quietly, smiled, and closed his eyes. Soon, the night passed. The next day, the sun's rays shone on the two hugging on the deck chair. Tsunade and Ziyun opened their eyes, looked at each other, and laughed happily. Hey, isn't that the black-haired admiral? who offered a reward of 20 billion berry. He also came to this duel island, fool, with his bounty. He certainly didn't come to the duel. Maybe they are here to ND newcomers with more potential, and want to recruit people. That's really great. It's a huge opportunity to join Black-haired Admiral's team. Yes, there is more than Black-haired Admiral on their ship, and that there, sharp gun and steel fist, that can defeat the naval hero Garp. And that Captain Drake certainly isn't an easy character. Yes, there are other people who just don't seem to be messed with. Some people haven't seen it. Maybe they are newcomers. I've decided that I want to join them too. This time on Duel Island, I must perform well. Stupid, they're the ones who captured Garp and Kiwi. The Navy will not let them go. Maybe you just joined them, and the next day you will be surrounded by the three major Navy generals Garcap and Sengoku. Forehead. The person who just said that he would join Ziyun's team trembled violently when he thought of the scene surrounded by the three generals and Garp Sengoku. Forget it. In this duel, I should play normally. Haha. After breakfast, Ziyun and his party boarded the duel island together after chatting for a while. The people who recognized Ziyun and the others immediately talked about Ziyun and his party. In addition to ordinary pirates and pirate hunters, there are also people from the world government and navy. Soon, the news that the Drake pirates came to Duel Island spread to the navy headquarters, and the world government. Warring states and 5 old stars immediately started to secretly organize people, intending to go in the direction of Duel Island. Hope to stop the Drake pirates on the way. Sensing the person hiding in the shadow of the street corner observing himself and his companions, Ziyun smiled and ignored them. In this way, they walked directly to the center of Duel Island. On the island, Ziyun and his companions heard that a newcomer duel match was being held on Duel Island, and the now reward is a phantom beast devil fruit. It is said that an organization used this as a reward to recruit newcomers. If the rookie can win the now victory, then he can get this devil fruit. But in exchange, this person must join their organization. Fellow reminds you, 3 things to read, collect and push. Chapter 80 Contestants, seeking subscription. Although Ziyun does not intend to join this organization, he intends to let his companions GHD for the victory in the duel. If in the end this organization refuses to take out the devil fruit because they don't want to join them, Ziyun will choose to grab it. If this organization doesn't have such a one phantom beast devil fruit, Ziyun doesn't mind destroying this organization. At the same time, because of this devil fruit, more people participated in this duel than ever before. Among them are some pirates with low bounties but powerful pirates or pirate hunters whose strength is stronger than their reputation. After all, the devil fruit of the phantom beast is a rare and precious thing, and few people cannot be attracted by it. Even the Navy and the world government have quietly sent some people to participate in this event. It is also for this reason that the Navy and the world government were able to end Ziyun and his partners as soon as they landed on the island. Originally, they came to this island just for fun and to meet Musashi's request, but now, they want to get this devil fruit. Ziyun, there is another purpose for coming to this island. Musashi, I'm counting on you this time. Ziyun put one hand on Musashi's shoulder, and said with a smile on his face, help me to win this devil fruit. Certainly. Musashi patted his chest. Since it is Yun's request, I will deny complete it. As he said that, Musashi's expression also changed from casual to Harem. Then thank you. Ziyun turned to look at the other companions. Are you interested in this duel? Boring, I don't GHT. These weaklings. Long Wan said proudly. From her observation, none of the people who planned to compete was strong. If Musashi goes, she will win, so she doesn't plan to waste time participating in this duel. Me too. Dio nodded. Musashi is enough. These guys are not worthy of me using my double to GHT. Ha 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 ha. Looking at the appearance of Tornado and Dior, Ziyun covered his face with an expression that really did. Ziyun turned to look at Shanruzad. Shanruzad saw Ziyun looking at her, and immediately wanted to speak. Scheherazada's words, just carry them by my side. Without waiting for Scheherazada to speak, Ziyun said, you don't like dating, do you? I won't ask you to GHT this kind of unnecessary GHT. Thank you, my king. Scheherazada walked to Ziyun's side, hugged Ziyun's arm with both hands, and said gratefully. Ziyun shook his head to indicate that there was no need to thank him, and continued to look at Spartacus. But seeing the excited expression on Spartacus's face, Ziyun knew that he didn't need to ask. He would nightly attend. Spartacus, follow your temper and make a scene. However, if you meet Musashi, don't play for real. Ziyun is not worried about Musashi, but he is worried that Spartacus will GHT Musashi too, seriously because of his madness, so he thought of reminding Spartacus in advance. Master, please rest assured, I will not be an opponent. Spartacus nodded. If I meet Miss Miyamoto, I will choose to admit defeat. Ha ha. That's good. Ziyun called out, and looked at Yuan Lagwang beside him. Lei, are you going? Honey, I wish I go. As he spoke, Minamoto Reimitsu hugged Ziyun's other arm. Feeling the touch of both arms, Ziyun Hong smiled and said, It's better not to use it. Like Wang and Scheherazade are by my side like this, it's good, haha. In the end, because everyone really believed that Musashi and Spartacus were enough to win the victory, they expressed that they would not participate in the duel. Musashi, watch Spartacus for me. After signing up with Musashi and Spartacus, before going to the auditorium, Xian told Musashi, although I have warned Spartacus, I am still a little worried that he will go crazy. Please wait for more reminders. Okay, leave it to me, Yan. Musashi smiled and nodded. Yan, please appreciate my performance. I will definitely win there. Now victory for you. Xian nodded with a smile, and walked towards the auditorium with Musashi and Spartacus. Again, surrounded by Scheherazade and Minamoto Yorimitsu. Seeing Xian enjoying himself, the people on the side wished they could replace him. Whether wearing tights or wearing a veil, Scheherazade is so beautiful and plump. Just looking at it makes people feel very happy. Now seeing someone hugged by both of them at the same time, how can we not make them envious? Moreover, Xian followed closely behind Drake and other women. Each of them was so beautiful. This made this happy person even more envious and jealous. However, they didn't dare to really set off to replace Xian. They still recognized Xian, offering a reward of 20 billion to the big pirate. It's not a novice like them can offend. Therefore, they could only watch Xian walking away slowly surrounded by Minamoto, Larimitsu and Scheherazade with envious expressions. Honey, the eyes of those guys are disgusting. Yuan Lagwang frowned slightly. Can I teach them a lesson? Still not. Xian shook his head. It's just a bunch of jealous guys. It's no big deal. Does that require me to guard against those guys who have been watching us? Emiya stepped forward. Master, you should have noticed. Some guys have been following us. Since we landed on the island, they give me the feeling that they are people from the world government I have come into contact with before. After thinking for a while, Xian replied, it's good to monitor them, but, just to be on the safe side, Wai Gong, you should act in groups of 2. Xian turned to look at Dio. Dio, can I trouble you to go with Emiya? You don't seem to be interested in this duel. Since it is a task assigned by the boss, I am naturally willing. Li Shuwen nodded and looked at Wai Gong. Then let me go with you. It's an honor to have Nendio going with me. Emiya smiled and replied, then, Master, we will excuse you RST. My lord, Commander Spam, Xian and his party are divided into 3 groups. A group of people went to participate in the newcomer duel match, and a group of people found the tallest building on the island to stay, while Xian took another group of people to their auditorium of the duel arena. Wearing a black suit, a strong man with hair like long horns walked out of the door that suddenly opened in the air, and reported to Spandam Huey, the current Zero Supreme leader of the 9-member, who was wearing a white mask in front of him. If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.